Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Gutierrez, and I'm a full-time day trader here based in the Arizona area. I started when I was 14 years old, and by starting, I pretty much mean that I got introduced to the market. I was doing a quick Google search about like how to make money at a young age after watching the Fast and the Furious movies, and one of the top things that popped up was like day trading penny stocks. There's a story of this young individual, especially in that area that I lived in, a neighboring city actually, and how he made a little bit over $1 million before he graduated high school. I thought that was really cool. I'm from Orange County, California, and being able to see someone achieve that form of success was something that was like very inspiring and initially just sparked my interest. But obviously, that's not how things played out. But I would say that I got my start, like I was introduced and became aware of what the stock market was and these penny stocks and what you can do with that. But in no way was I making money at that time. So I would say that it took me about 4 to 5 years. And the reason why is I was learning, on and off from 15, 16, 17, 18. It wasn't like full time or anything by any means, but it was something that like I never gave up on. I've just always been someone that's been so intrigued about the market and what it has to offer. And I always knew that you could make money, but I always knew that there was a huge form of risk, right? But I think with that saying of like, nothing that is worth having is supposed to come easy, right? It was just something that I knew I couldn't give up on. And then 4 to 5 years later, I began to become a little bit more consistent. I think a lot of people can agree with me that are finally getting the ball rolling with their trading accounts. And it's not even making the money part, but it's like not losing money or that break-even period that was like so rewarding to me. And that took about 4 to 5 years to even get to that point where like I actually understood what I was doing and not necessarily just getting lucky or hoping for the best, right? When you have an understanding of the risk involved and you plan out your trade, it goes according to plan. And it took me about 4 to 5 years. And again, I think that it was just because of like the lack of maybe discipline and not a lot of structure with the way that I was learning. I was self-taught, and a huge learning curve comes with the stock market. Yeah, so I get that question asked a lot. I learned to trade pretty much just by watching videos on YouTube and also catching up on like Google Forms, things that I would just like search up the question for, see what indicators might have been the best, how to use them. And I would watch a couple of videos on YouTube, but from a very early age, I knew that there was not just one specific way to use something, and that maybe one specific way that might work for someone doesn't necessarily mean that it has to work for myself, right? Because one of the things that I became a little bit more aware of is that, there's so many different trading styles in the stock market. And I was really inspired by that. I think one of the most glorified styles are like the aggressive kind of like lower cap stocks, momentum trading. And although that's where I initially got my start, I really began to see growth with myself, not just through my trading account, but as a trader when I began to stray away from kind of like what everyone else wanted to pursue, right? And that was kind of like the lower cap stock. So everything that I learned was literally just off of YouTube videos and Google Forums and Googling what it is that I was looking for. But when it began to make most sense was when I began to focus less on what other people were doing, and I simply began to practice everything it is that I was learning and refining it. So like when I would learn a little bit about the RSI indicator, when I would learn a little bit more about certain patterns, right? It's like, cool, I'm learning about it. It's beginning to make sense, but I just needed to continue to like immerse myself and practice everything that I was learning. And all the mistakes that I was making, being able to overcome those mistakes, trying to, come up with solutions on how to do that. I think that's one of the most difficult parts that, someone might encounter when first getting started, because they're trying to maybe mimic exactly what someone else is doing. And that's not like what the stock market is, to me, right? It's a lot of problem solving. And the only way that you can kind of like really put yourself in that position is if you're willing to, take the risk, if you're willing to fully just put yourself in that position and accept that, it doesn't have to go according to plan, but that you're at least willing to learn from your mistakes. So I think the best way that I really grew as a trader was not just the videos that I was watching and the Google searches, but really just allowing myself to grow as a trader by being able to practice everything that you learn. And that's why we have such a huge focus now in empowering people to, videos are great, right, to take in information, to learn the very basics from, but you need to be a problem solver and you need to not be afraid to make mistakes in this market. So my favorite part now when it comes down to day trading, as that's been my main focus, has to be kind of like the challenge that I'm put through every single day. This is something that I find very rewarding about the market that I partake in, and I am literally challenged every single day as a day trader. I am put to the test with my ability to identify patterns. I am put to the test when it comes down to my patience and waiting for confirmation for that, allowing that opportunity to present itself. And I'm challenged every single day, and this is my biggest challenge from when I first got started, is managing my risk, right? When a trade does not go according to plan, which it never is always going to go according to plan, being able to manage my risk, I think a huge disconnect for a lot of people, as myself, as I came from like a 9-to-5 job background, is that when you work a 9-to-5 job, there's a direct input of hours with a direct output of pay, right? Even if you are commission based, usually you still have this like base salary or base hourly rate. The stock market just doesn't work like that. You can literally invest hours and years of your time, and at the end of the day you don't have to actually walk away making a profit, and that's just very strange for a lot of people. So I would say that my favorite part is just the challenge that I'm put through every single day and how that is so rewarding to me. So at the end of the day, when I hit my daily goal, again 1.5 to maybe 2%, it's so rewarding to me because first of all, I don't hit those every single day, and I am challenged with those three things to see if I can actually put everything together that I can end the day on a green note, and that's just ultimately one of the most rewarding parts for me. So yeah. As you continue to scale, as you continue to build experience, as you become more well-versed, right, within the market, you're going to feel more comfortable to trade with a larger dollar amount. And my 1% to 2% days now are the $1,000 to $2,000. But when I first got started, it really made no sense, right? If I'm starting with $1,000 and I try to make 1% a day, that just doesn't make sense, and that wouldn't make sense for a lot of people, especially if you have a normal job that's already paying you well. And I think this is also another disconnect within this market and every glorified market out there that's not a normal job, is that none of these markets are guaranteed, right? And one of the things that I find so attractive about these markets is that they really don't make sense in the very beginning, because why would someone spend hours and days and weeks and months of their time to learn about a specific market that at the end of the day you might not even end up being successful in and might end up losing money? But one of the biggest things is, like, at a very early age, I just had a huge passion for the market, and that passion really allowed me to not seek the market in a very rational way, just because I was always so intrigued by the market and what it had to offer and the potential. I understood the numbers very well when it came down to as I continue to scale, as I continue to become a better trader, and as I continue to grow my account and my confidence, the 1% even now, right? $1,000 is great a day, but as I continue to become more well versed within the market and then begin to scale from, instead of $100,000 to maybe $500,000, then to $1 million, right? And those 1% days there then become $10,000, and it just continues to grow from there. So my biggest focus as a trader, and one of the parts that I enjoy the most, is just the understanding that I'm really still in the very beginning stages of what I see my trading career to be at, because of how much growth I've experienced in the past couple of years. I'm just really excited at 24 to see how I can continue to scale. I don't think that the stock market is for everyone, but I think that if you're in any way interested in just learning a little bit more about it, it's 100% worth learning more about. But I think the concepts that I've personally learned when it comes down to investing and trading in the stock market are universal concepts for investing in general, that because I started at a very early age, it assisted me. That knowledge assisted me in buying my first house at age 20. My understanding for being able to buy and resell cars for a profit. I think these universal concepts, regardless if you want to 100% pursue trading as a career, I just think the simple concepts that you learn as you immerse yourself in the market are something that are really valuable and life-lasting best practices that I think that can benefit you in all parts of life. To start paper trading or simulation trading, just to get your feet wet, it's free, it doesn't cost you anything, and there's so many different platforms out there that offer it. You can simply Google it, YouTube it, and learn a little bit more about how you can get started. And again, with that very simple idea that this market isn't easy. If it was, everyone would be successful in it, but I think that we could all agree that nothing worth having should come easy, right? Everything that is actually worth having, not just in life when it comes down to success, but the people around you. There's nothing wrong with having to work hard for something just because you know it's that much more valuable. So yeah, that would be my piece of advice.